All right, we did some of the intro stuff. This is our team, and I show this because people don't know many things about Unity, but one thing I want to just kind of make an impression here is we have a lot of people doing a lot of robots things, and we're pretty excited about it. What do I have here? Oh, this is a video. This is showing some of the use cases that Unity has. And so just introducing some of the concept of Unity to those who don't know, Unity is a real-time 3D engine, which allows you to visualize really realistic scenes, visuals, physics, all in real time. It powers video games, it powers a number of different industrial applications, and this is showcasing some of the more visually realistic things that you can do with Unity, and I'll be talking a little bit more about that in a second. You can see that depth of field and bloom and all these kinds of things that are camera properties to really highlight the different ways that Unity is used in architecture, in manufacturing, in rendering different situations. There's plenty of different use cases, but it's a fairly broad tool in the many different kinds of ways that it's used. And I don't know if this is looping, but I'm going to go to the next slide. And I think I just said some of the things here. There's a whole bunch of different products. We have plugins that add new, allowed lots of different environmental usage. There's a big community of people that you can find on all sorts of different sources to do technical art development, develop all kinds of different scenes and worlds within Unity. And they do this for video games. They do this for lots of different industrial usage within, kind of repeating myself. Here's an example of one of those industrial use cases. This is industrial process modeling. And so what it's showing is some discrete event stuff. What I mean by discrete event is, you know, move the box there, move the robot there, and how do these things flow together? And this is able to be used to model in a manufacturing environment how things fit together. And you know, I'll kind of skip along here. It's showing a box, it's showing an AGV, it's showing how these things interact together and identifying, you know, bottlenecks and gaps ahead of time to see if there's any challenges. Just a couple of pieces that before I get into robotics that are kind of robotics-y related stuff. It's not full-blown ROS things, but there's ML Agents, which is a package for reinforcement learning research. It's an open source toolkit and training, which allows you to deploy intelligent agents into the latest deep learning. It's got a lot of GitHub stars, and you can spawn these agents and try out developing reinforcement learning models and methods. What do I have here? This is an industrial robot showcasing some physics utilization. I think I have more on physics in the slide here. This is showing how you can do some CAD data import. There's a lot of needs in different use cases, not just robotics, but just showing again some of the broader ecosystem that Unity exists within. I'll kind of fast forward through this. You can import really large complex models into this whole thing. I already talked about that. All right. Getting more towards robotics-y things. There's a whole bunch of stuff that Unity enables you to do. Again, just setting some context. Remember, people mentioned that they don't know what Unity is or what it does. We do a whole bunch of different synthetic data stuff. So with real world data, you have to actually label it. It's biased to what's available, privacy, yada, yada. With synthetic data, you can do millions of computer generated images, automatically annotate them. You can get really cool annotations. Here's kind of a picture showcasing some of this. It's got bounding boxes. You can get full meshes. You can get apples and scenes. You can generate things that don't necessarily exist or deal with long tail problems. And one of the things that's kind of cool here is we're talking about machine learning, which is a little bit different than robotics, but absolutely connects back into robotics. And, you know, one of the things that I found, and curious other people's thought on this, is, you know, there's not necessarily, these worlds are not necessarily fully together. I think there's still lots of work to be done to combine robotics and machine learning. And so curious other people's experience with that and what have you. Sometimes these words are used interchangeably. Sometimes they're definitely different in a lot of other cases. All right, So that's just an overview on Unity background things. Onto Unity robotics. What we have done is we've released a number of different open source packages and work, and I just want to try to graze through and give an overview of that, and I can open it for some questions after that, or feel free to chime in the middle. We have done a lot of work to improve physics for robotics, physics 4.1, and I have a detailed slide on the next one that I'll be able to walk through and show off what some of this means. There's a contact modification API, which simulates holes, slippery surfaces, soft bodies, and more. Work done around wheels and wheel collider shapes, collision detection modes, all sorts of improvements across physics. And there's a really detailed blog post that you can read more about. And I will be honest, I am knowledgeable in some ways on some physics things, but not a complete expert. So I can answer some of the questions about physics, but suffice it to say that physics is really important for robotics related things. And for what some of the things I'm about to talk about next, making improvements to the physics models throughout the Unity system is something that we are prioritizing. URDF imports. So this isn't something that used to be possible and is now possible. And there is an open source Unity package that is a URDF importer. This is really cool because you can, go into, if you have a robot for which you're building a custom one, I think a couple of you said you're doing that. You can go into SolidWorks, model it, and export it with the SolidWorks URDF or importer, and then import it into Unity. Again, I'm talking about these packages in different pieces. I'm not necessarily talking about any one particular solution or answer. These right now are open source packages, and we're really excited to provide them to the community so people can build on them and try how these things work back and forth. And so one question to think about, maybe I'll ask at the end here, I'll preload it a little bit, is, what are the ways that these things can interact together? What are the kinds of projects that you are thinking about building and doing? So that URDF importer means you can get some robot into a virtual world, but then you can start to draw connections between a virtual world and real robot data with a ROS1 bridge and ROS2 and ROS1 TCP connector. So here you can see a robot in simulation. This is simulated code running locally against the Unity simulator. And then you can see that same code running against a real robot. And you could even link the real robot running through with the TCP connector to a virtual form of that, like a digital twin, if we want to use the buzzword, to see, how is this virtual robot, make sure that URDF that we imported is mapping directly to the physical robot. Again, the technology under the hood here is a ROS bridge. We're making sure that the messages make all the way into the Unity system. All of this is encompassed with a set of tutorials. They are on GitHub. And again, I mentioned all of these packages I've spoken about so far are open source and meant to allow things to be built on, extended, modified, and hopefully contributed back. So let's see, I don't know. Let's see what this one is. We are randomizing a lighting scene. Yeah, so because it's Unity and we can simulate lots of different things, you could end up generating lots of different lighting options with a robotic system. And again, not a specific aspect of one of these packages, but it's something that when you use a URDF, which is imported into Unity, you can then use all of these other aspects of Unity where you can play with lighting, you can play with all of those really high resolution type things that I was mentioning or showing off earlier. Here is a navigation example. So we're sending it a goal in RViz, little turtle bot here. And we're seeing the robot map out its space with that cost map. We can see it start to explore the region with the white dots becoming more and more explored. And we're seeing it run in Unity. And so, this is maybe interesting for user interfaces, maybe interesting for trying things out, testing. There's lots of different possibilities for this. I see the chat here. I will look at that in just a second. That's it. That's all I have on the official slides, but I'm happy to talk over more. And like I was kind of alluding to a number of points in this thing here, we we have put a lot of these packages into the world, and we believe there's lots of different ways that these things can be used together. In this context, I'm not getting into, all of the possible things that Unity Robotics is doing. I'm trying to share a lot of the open source packages and the ways that these might be able to be mixed and matched and played with, especially within a ROS community. All right, there's a whole bunch of questions. Does anybody want to talk out loud? Yeah, let me see if I can read it. Does it support SDF format too? I don't know the answer to that. Oh, Sarah answered. Sarah,
I've been trying to answer those along the way.
Okay.
Hello.
Sarah is on the Unity team as well. She was on that first slide. Engineering manager. So let me maybe, any questions? It seems like Sarah's been following up with some of those, but anybody got any broader questions, ideas for how to do things? There's lots of different robot projects happening, lots of different use cases and things. You can also message us if you'd prefer to have a private conversation about something.
I was just curious, what are you using for the bridge between Unity and the robots?
That is a Unity package that we built. It was a fork of the ROS Sharp open source repo from Siemens, and we made some optimizations to improve the performance. But it's a Unity package called ROS TCP connector.
Cool.
What is USD?
Oh, that's the universal scene description. Is that what it's called, from Pixar?
Oh.
Which NVIDIA is, yeah. I will say we cannot comment on that at this time. But there's lots of exciting internal conversations about USD. Is anybody here using USD?
So for those who are here, there's only like 20 or so people here. If you want to, it's not a crazy large meeting if you want to make it an interactive discussion. I know it can be scary to talk into the Zoom void, but it's not that large of a Zoom void here.
I'm curious. So the physics and stuff looks all really amazing, and I'm just kind of getting back up to speed on ROS. But as far as like subscribing to imagery and video feeds in Unity, can I do like a live texture in? So if I have a camera on my robot, this is kind of a high level question, but if I wanted to do in Unity, stream a texture or live video into my live simulation in Unity, is that a solved problem at this point?
Yes, you can do that.
Cool.
Yes.
Using subscribe to a video feed in ROS. Okay, cool. Awesome.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
I'm curious if anybody has done some sort of learning or parameter tuning, some sort of optimization for context-focused, I don't know, grasping or walking of sorts. Any insights on how people have doing this kind of projects?
I know that there's been a number of improvements in that space. I don't have any example or sample projects to showcase off the top of my head. But yes, that is definitely something that's very relevant to robotics. I don't have a very good example to showcase on that. Maybe it's something I could set on the side.
one of the things that was in one of your slides, Steve, on
No
that physics
problem.
improvement,
Thanks.
was the force torque sensor API,
Mm.
which allows you to read the forces in a grasp, which could be useful for the use cases you're talking about. So that is on our roadmap for this calendar year.
Oh, I see. Thanks for explanation. Another thing is in the earlier in the presentation, you're showing some sort of a workflow kind of simulation, or I forgot the exact term you have used, but how, like, I didn't get a sense on like what kind, how much of the simulation was being used. Like, was it some sort of a high level system analysis kind of thing that simulation was being used, or was it something else?
I didn't quite get the question. It broke up a little bit for me. Is something the high level simulation?
Your audio is a bit choppy, Mike.
It might have been the discrete event simulation.
Thanks. I'll try to follow up. I don't have the best Wi-Fi right now, but yeah, that's great. That sounds good to me.
Steve, I am wanting to know, what are the typical use cases you have seen robotic companies using Unity with ROS for? What type of simulations, what type of behavior testing, or what exactly have you seen the usage been the most for?
I think, I mean, some of the specific customer stuff I can't speak to too specifically, but I think that it becomes really powerful to be able to visualize robots in simulation and to be able to, I think, I mean, the ones that I did showcase that I can speak to, I think that the discrete event simulation, like I showcased, is definitely something that is really valuable, being able to not just speak to robots at a lower level, but also at a higher level. So I think lots of the use cases involve making sure that you can extract information across multiple levels, you know, down from the sensor level all the way up through the task level.
Interesting. Thank you. Other questions?
Yeah, hold on. What plugins or mechanisms do I need to stream my ROS data into the Unity environment? Yeah, let me maybe click on a thing to show a thing. Man, I wish this meetup was in person. It's so challenging talking into the Zoom void. I promise it's only 20 people. Tutorials. Where was I going to show tutorials? Here. Whoop. The question was, how do you do these things? So you go to the GitHub. Do this. You go to the GitHub, and then there are a bunch of tutorials here. One, who asked that question? Are you doing?
I did. I was. I've got a couple robots around here, and I've got Unity, but they're not connected in any way. So this is exactly the answer I'm looking for. So thank you.
This one's a pretty neat one to try out. It's a pick and place tutorial. It's using this as like a toy robot arm as part of the tutorial, but it really, what this tutorial walks you through is the ROS setup, the import of URDF, and it might even be there, but you create the scene. There's a little bit of Unity learning in here, and if you need to do some Unity learning, that on the side, there's, I don't know if I can click all the way through all of it on the fly, but anyway, this walks you through how to set up a robot, run it, and then keyboard teleop it, and then integrate it with Move It. And I believe this one's ROS 1. Are you using ROS 1 or ROS 2?
ROS 1.
Yeah. There's a ROS 2 one. I don't have it off the top of my head here, but there was a ROS 2 one that you can, it's in there, walking through that AMR video demo that I
Cool.
showcased.
Has most of your development been on ROS 1 or ROS 2, out of curiosity?
We support both equally.
Okay, cool. Thanks.